so now lower probability dependencies are going to be dispreferred. They'll have a lower acceptability compared to higher probability dependencies, which will be more preferred, will have a higher acceptability. And so therefore, each set of island stimuli from Sprouse and colleagues 2012, we can do the following with them. So here, for example, are the complex MP island stimuli, again, looking at our two factors of matrix versus embedded for length, and presence or absence, non-island versus island, of an island structure in the utterance. And so for each one of these stimuli, we can transform that WH dependency into a container node sequence. You can see what these look like here, right? And then we can break them into syntactic trigram building blocks. And for each dependency, calculate that probability from those building blocks, right? And from that, we're going to end up with a probability that we can then map to an acceptability judgment, right? So these probabilities can then be plotted to see if superadditivity is present. So instead of having a z-score rating, an acceptability judgment, we're going to have a probability over here on the y-axis, where more probable is more acceptable and less probable is less acceptable. So we're still looking for that same pattern of non-parallel lines to indicate that those island crossing dependencies are worse than just having an embedded dependency, or worse than an island structure just being present. They are, in fact, extra bad, right? And so if this is what we see, then the child would have acquired syntactic island knowledge that allows that same judgment pattern as adults, that same outcome, and it would be learned from the building blocks in children's input. So we use judgments from a modeled child learning from the same amount of data as high-SES children seem to learn from, with those data having the same composition as high-SES child-directed speech data, right? So the same distribution of WH dependencies. And this is what we find, right? We have all four island types, complex MPs, subject, whether, and adjunct. And in each case, right, we're seeing those non-parallel lines, right? We're seeing superadditivity present for all four islands, that qualitative pattern that we're looking for to indicate knowledge of syntactic islands, right? So the implication of this is that high-SES child input can support the acquisition of syntactic islands measured this way, and using this particular learning strategy that depends on a certain part of the input that these building blocks, right, these syntactic trigrams are capturing. So therefore, again, that input part is the WH dependencies and their building blocks, these syntactic trigrams.